I'm Christine Hopkinson. Thank you so much for having me here today. I have dedicated over 30 years to the passion of making sure mathematics is accessible in elementary schools. Awesome. And it started a funny way, and it's by my geometry teacher telling me that I was dumb and I would never do math, I would never be able to do math. My parents still think it's an absolute hoot that I write math curriculum and I help students access mathematics. So take a minute, I always start with the math, so take a minute, notice and wonder. I'm going to predict, because I've done this with children as young as 6th grade and also adults, some of you are creating formulas in your head. Some of you are permutating it further out. Some of you are simply want to touch those dice and count them. That makes it accessible. But why is math social justice? Because it is a human's basic right to use mathematics to improve their life and make money. And we know that people of color and women are underrepresented in the STEM fields, which typically carry larger salaries. We also know that on many assessments, both state and national, like the NAEP assessment, students of color, students of disability, students in underfunded schools typically do not perform as well on mathematics, and that is a disparity from what we see even in reading. So for example, in this research paper called The Opportunity Myth, it was proven that students in schools like underserved schools like Title I schools, they were actually given less chances, less assignments at grade level that were rigorous and interesting than other students, despite the fact that it was proven that they could access and even excel on those grade level assignments. So how do we fix this? One way we fix this is with high quality math curriculum. It needs to be focused, it needs to be coherent, rigorous, and also have research-based instruction. Rigor is kind of one of those weird words. People think it means hard. It doesn't. It means that we help students understand the why of mathematics, and if my geometry teacher had done that, I might have succeeded. It also means that you're fluent and you get a chance to apply what you've learned. But it's not just content, it's also thinking like a scientist, thinking like a mathematician. We all know how to think like readers, but we need to be able to understand problems, talk about those problems, use a mathematical toolbox, and use precise language. There are lots of debates about what strong instruction looks like in the mathematical classroom, but we know it centers on problem solving, on talking, and really having a chance to use models and representations. Those representations should follow a progression of what we call concrete, pictorial, abstract, or concrete, pictorial, symbolic. However, what most people do is they simply bring their kids down that line and then stop. What research shows is we have to make connections. Students don't see each one of those representations as a connected system. I don't have a great transition, just went right out of my head. But what I do know is I am whiplash from the math wars that are even happening right now, science of math versus open-ended instruction, and what I believe it is a balance of both. What do we do about COVID learning loss, unfinished learning? Guess what? I've been here a long time, that's not new. We've always had students are behind. But what is new is to no longer remediate. Stop putting students, in my opinion, in the world, in remediation and keeping them from grade level instruction. What we need to do is just in time, ramp up, keep as many students in grade level instruction as we can. And the instructors that are doing both intervention, remediation, core instruction need to have what we call a profound understanding of foundational mathematics. Starting in college, for our pre-service teachers, we need to help students and teachers understand mathematics so they can teach it better. And of course, this is a very tricky word, but student engagement involves movement, joy, safety, identity, and talking to one another. Lots of teachers talk well to their students, but how do we get students to talk to one another about mathematics? One thing you can start off right away is developing a math community. Talk to your students. Check your attitudes at the door that you have about your own mathematics. How do you want it to be when we work on math together? Create some agreements in your classroom around mathematics. And finally, I really encourage you to dig into the CDE website around math identity. Are we helping every student see themselves as a mathematics? Not through some Gitchy poster or career day, not that those are bad, but because they're actually doing math, they're talking about math, they're bringing their experiences, their talents, and their relevance to the classroom. And finally, I'm here to tell you there are no people that are ready to be mathematics. Every child, every classroom is ready to learn math. We should all check our low expectations at the door. Don't ever bring them in. Have the highest expectations for all students so they can achieve at the highest levels. This isn't easy. I've been spent 30 years doing it. I probably have 30 more years to get better at it. Pick one thing. Do the right thing for all kids in Colorado. Thank you.